Hi everyone, I'm Anna. Welcome back for another chapter. It's time for my November wrap up. This month, I had rereads, surprises, disappointments, and a lot of manga. So let's jump right in. I read 7 books and 13 manga with an average rating of 3.6 stars. My yearly average is 3.7, so I'm slowly crawling my way back up. Improvement is improvement. Now, let's jump into the books that haven't had the spotlight yet in the videos. The first one is Blood of Hercules by Jasmine. This was a reread for me. Last time I gave it 5 stars, but this time it landed around 4.5. I reread it to prepare for the sequel, Bonds of Hercules. This series is really the definition of don't think too hard, just have fun. Very chaotic humor, very love it or hate it energy, and it worked enough for me. Alex's Hurt is a foster kid who discovers she has Spartan blood and is pulled into a brutal, mint-tinted world ruled by immortal Spartan houses. She ends up at the Spartan War Academy, faces gladiatorial training and monstrous threats, and becomes entangled with powerful and dangerously possessive figures as the story blends dark romantasy, Greek myth retelling, and fight for survival stakes. From a dark romantasy reread to a book that I honestly found frustrating, I read The Perfect Marriage by Jeneva Rose and gave it 2 stars. I don't mind unlikable characters, but when everyone sucks, the plot absolutely needs to deliver. And here it didn't. Very strong Gone Girl influence, but dragged pacing, a rushed trial, and an ending that dumps the reveal in like 10 pages as a gotcha. I read it because I'm doing a Goodreads Choice Award mystery thriller ranking video and needed to read the sequel. But after this, I'm low on hope for the sequel. A high-profile attorney defends her husband after he is accused of murder. As the trial and investigations unfurl, layers of deception and unreliable perspectives reveal a web of manipulative characters. But for me, the payoff didn't land. Let's move to something that did surprise me in a very good way, a manga I picked up on a whim. The Strange House, Volume 1 by Uketsu, ended up being a 5 stars. This was such a pleasant surprise. I grabbed it randomly at my local manga shop and I was hooked. The art is gorgeous, the atmosphere is perfect, and the mystery works incredibly well visually. It also made me curious to try the novel version because the architectural setting is such a big part of the story. A paranormal writer and an architect investigate a house with extraordinarily strange rooms layouts and hints of past abuse. The building's bizarre plans hide disturbing secrets, and the story unfolds as an eerie investigation into the house's past. Next are the books you might have already heard me talk about. I did a full video trying to pinpoint what I love in cozy fantasy, and I read 5 books for that. I'll just give you the short version here, and if you want a deep dive, the full video is up on the channel. The first book was The Grimmoire Grammar School PTA by Rozakis, and I gave 4 stars. This was such a fun rom-com fantasy. I really enjoyed the humor and the slightly chaotic magical world. 2 parents try to fit into an elite magical-infused New England community after the child is bitten and becomes a werewolf. What begins as a social navigation of magical school society quickly turns into a confronting prophecies, conspiracies, and real danger wrapped in PTA-level absurdity. Next, I read Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne and gave it 3 stars. This was cute, but it had way too many stakes and not enough tension for what I wanted from cozy fantasy. Still encouraging enough that I'll pick up the sequel next year. 2 women working dangerous jobs in a kingdom dream of leaving it behind to open a tea and bookshop, only to have their past and political intrigue seep into their new quiet life. Cozy vibes with lingering threat, but I wanted more tension for the stakes presented. Then I picked up Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz and gave it 5 stars. This was such a great cozy sci-fi novella, Small, clever, very human, and surprisingly warm. In a near future setting, a small group of abandoned service robots attempt to open a noodle shop and build community. It's a short, near future novella about found family, food, and small acts of resistance. Then I finally got around Brigands and Breadknives by Travis Baldree and gave it 2.5 stars. This was one of my most anticipated releases this year, and unfortunately, I was really disappointed by where the story went. This is the second book in the Legend and Lattes universe that follows Thorne, a Ratkin bookseller who wakes up hungover and far from home. She ends up on the road with a legendary warrior and a chaos goblin companion. The story becomes travel adventure about self-discovery, difficult choices, and what you do when you're forced out of the life you thought you wanted. The tone flips between cozy moments and action-packed, dangerous encounters. It's more of a road adventure than a purely cozy book. Finally, I picked up A Witch Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandanna and gave it 4 stars. This was very sweet and heartfelt, and once again, Sangu Mandanna proves she writes children in stories so well. This is a warm, found family witchy novel about Sarah Swan, once a powerful witch, now exiled and low on magic, who takes on innkeeping as a second chance. The plot centers on rebuilding the inn, rediscovering lost magic, and mending a fractured life, while connecting with eccentric local and a cast of quirky, heartfelt characters. And that wraps up the cozy fantasy reads. Now let's move into manga. I actually made a full video recommending manga based on some of the most popular book releases of the year, so I reread a bunch of first volume to refresh my memory. I give detailed synopsis in that video, so here I'll just give you the quick version. I started with Yona of the Dawn Volume 1 and 2, which I gave 4 and 4.5 stars. This series just gets better and better, and rereading the beginning made me want to continue, especially with the series ending in Japan this month. After witnessing her father's assassination, sheltered Princess Yona escapes with her loyal guard and begins a journey to reclaim her kingdom, gathering legendary warriors along the way. Then I read The Dragon Knight's Beloved and gave it 3 stars. It was a very sweet, gentle fantasy, perfect when you want something low stakes. A young woman unexpectedly finds herself living in a castle with a stoic dragon knight and his dragons. I continued with Blue Exorcist Volume 1 and gave it 3 stars. A series that definitely improved with time. The first volume still reads very classic shonen. It's the story of Rin, who discovers is the son of Satan and decides to become an exorcist to fight demons, including the destiny tied to his own blood. I continued with Seraph of the End, Vampire Knight, Volume 1 and gave it also 3 stars. The opening is great, but the second half leans more standard, but the potential is here. After a plague wipes out most adults, vampires takes over and enslave children. A survivor joins a military unit specializing in anti-vampire weapons, seeking revenge. My next stop was Battle Royale Volume 1 and I gave it 3.5 stars. The story is still as strong as I remembered, but the very old school art threw me off a bit. A class of students is kidnapped by the government and forced to fight to the death on an isolated island, each with different weapons and motives. Then I read The Limit Volume 1 and gave it 3 stars. It was interesting but very disturbing. After a tragic bus accident strands them in the wilderness, a group of high school girls must work together to survive. I then read Old Boy Volume 1 and gave it 3.25 stars. It was good but slow paced, and again that older art style isn't my favorite. A man who was mysteriously imprisoned for 10 years is suddenly released and starts hunting down the person responsible for his confinement. Then I decided to pick up Happy Sugar Life Volume 1 and gave it 2 stars. It was super disturbing. You either want to keep reading immediately or never touch it again. A girl becomes obsessively attached to a younger child she's secretly keeping hidden, and she will do anything to protect that happy life. I read next Love and Hurt Volume 1 and gave it 4 stars. where the manipulative character is so well written, you start doubting yourself like the heroine. We follow college student Yo, who begins to suspect the charming boy who claims to be her childhood friend might not be who he says he is. I switched up the tone and picked up Sweat and Soap Volume 1 and gave it 4 stars. It was a very sweet romance built on a somewhat debatable premise, but the couple is genuinely adorable. A shy office worker who's insecure about her body odor grows close to a perfume developer who becomes fascinated with her natural scent, and the two navigate a gentle, supportive romance. I also read Medalist Volume 1 and gave it 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. Inori and Tsukasa are so lovable, and if you're into the inner workings of ice skating, this is top tier. It's about a former competitive skater with shattered dreams becoming the coach of a young girl with raw talent and determination, and the two form an inspiring partnership in the world of figure skating. And that's my November wrap up. So many cozy reads, chaotic manga, and little surprises along the way. If you read any of this or have a recommendation for me, drop a comment. I love hearing what you're reading. And don't forget to check out my cozy fantasy and manga videos if you want all the juicy details. See you in the next one!